Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right? So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Swing and a miss. Oregon is headed to the Super Regional.
Fans being out there making this a great impact.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Welcome inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider here on a Tuesday, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano with you. Chris Clayton also with you.
I'm here.
It's going to be a packed show. You're headlining today.
This is crazy. Headliner?
Headline.
This is a mistake.
Jody Sykes coming up after you. We're talking compliance. Football early signing day tomorrow. A lot to touch on with Jody Sykes and also Matt Ulmer on the show.
So the show is ascending. Who's sitting in this couch? We're going on an upward trend after me.
It might be height-wise, too, that way, too.
Yes.
I mean, Matt Ulmer's pretty tall.
Is. Yeah. Well, Matt Ulmer definitely. We'll have to measure up with Jody, but she doesn't have a high bar to exceed. Especially as often as I'm around basketball players, it makes me feel really small.
Have you gotten the lifts in the shoes yet?
That's a good idea.
I think
that'll make me feel better because emotionally I walk out of every time I'm around athletes. I'm like, wow, I really am small. If I'm at like Trader Joe's, I'm like, oh, I'm like average. And then you're around basketball players and you're like, I am teeny.
Yeah, that's how we feel working in the industry. A little bit peek behind the curtain.
Yes.
We got a packed show today, Chris, and we'll talk about basketball. You've had one heck of a week. I don't know how many miles. Kirk Herbstreit sets out how many miles he travels in a week. Chris Clayton might be rivaling Kirk this week. It was a heck of a week for Chris Clayton. Hawaii, then Vegas, back to Eugene. You've been everywhere.
I'm not complaining. I am very fortunate. The Oregon women's basketball team went to Hawaii. I was along for the ride. No complaints there, obviously. The games didn't go. The reason we went there was to play Oregon basketball. The games didn't go how the Ducks women wanted necessarily, but they were in Hawaii, so that's always a win. And then I filled in for Joey and called the men's game on Saturday, went down to Vegas. So those are two pretty fun locations. So, yeah, I was extremely fortunate to be along for the ride, and it's a testament to these cool experiences that Oregon student-athletes get as they get the opportunity to go to these resorts and go to these non-conference tournaments that are really fun in college basketball. I like the trend of these non-conference tournaments with these powerhouse programs meeting up and playing one another. They're really fun. It can be hard to get the crowd you want because you're playing at a neutral site, which in Oregon women's case was in Hawaii, which is, it's hard to get a lot of fans out there, but in terms of the quality of play on the court for both the women and the men in Vegas, it was just awesome. I mean, those were great tournaments.
They were fun to be a part of. They were fun for me watching, to be a part of, listening to you on the women's side of things and on the men's side of things. We actually, a peek inside of what our Saturday looked like for the OSN team. Obviously, at Autzen Stadium calling the game, everybody other than you was there, and then right after we got off air, I was wondering, when are we going to close up the post-game show? I need to listen to Chris. It's got like 10 minutes left in the basketball game. And then we were listening to you down the stretch, and you had one heck of a game to call. That was a lot of fun in Vegas, where Oregon won the Players Era Festival. With you on the call, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was an amazing game. And it was, honestly, not the greatest timing to be playing during the Oregon football game, because you would want Duck fans to be able to listen to Jerry and Jorgie and on the call for the entire football game and then be able to go over to the men's basketball game. But there was a little delay with the men's game Saturday because the third place game between San Diego State and Houston was a great game and it went to overtime. So I think people were fortunately able to listen to the second half, and that's when things got really interesting. So it made my job calling the game easy because it was such a thrilling game. I mean, nobody was able to really get separation, and I think when you look back on this game, even with Alabama's injury issues, I think for the Ducks men, it's going to be a huge win. Alabama's going to win a ton of games this year. they're going to have some terrific metrics and numbers, because that stuff I nerd out on is the net rankings and the strength of schedule and quad 1, quad 2 wins. Those are important, and that win for Oregon is going to be important. You play a team like that, and Texas A&M and San Diego State on a neutral court, and you get that win, that's big. And I know the coaching staff, for the most part, for Oregon is thinking, okay, how do we improve? How do we get wins? But people that nerd out on bracketology and stuff like that, you start to look down the road, and you're thinking, Oregon's got some good resume wins they just racked up in November, which hasn't always been the case. To get key November wins is difficult, and that November magic was there. I was almost going to say on the call, is this March? Because usually that's the Dana Altman formula, right? Everything flips.
There's something about playing tournaments in Vegas. The Ducks have been really good at it.
Yeah, he's 28-9 in his career in Vegas. He's on a roll. So, yeah, I think that it's really unique and impressive that this team, with a lot of newcomers for Oregon and a lot of guys coming back from injury, the Ducks men are already, they have that cohesion. They're already meshing together. They're already playing like a team. They don't really have a lot of weaknesses. I think there's reason for Ducks fans to be excited. That wasn't just a great week in Vegas. Anybody watching, you can listen to the national pundits. This Duck team's for real. I mean, they've got what it takes. They have length inside. They have depth in the front court. They have outside shooting. They have guys that can attack off the dribble. They're taking care of the basketball. That was a crucial aspect of playing Alabama, was the turnover difference. Alabama's got one of the most experienced, known guards in the country, Mark Sears, the All-American. And the Ducks forced him to go 1 of 11 from 3. He had some turnovers, and I'm not just like targeting Mark Sears and saying it was all his fault. But Oregon was playing a very deep and one of the best talent-wise teams in college basketball, and they outplayed them. So I think there's reason to be excited to get out to Matthew Dowd Arena this year to take in the Ducks, because this team's special.
Well, it was an Oregon team that was locked in. Cayden, do you have the clip of TJ Bamba and his mentality going into that tournament? Because I think that it's really indicative of how Oregon played. Let's hear what TJ Bamba's thoughts were before the tournament, and they came through in fruition, as you'll hear. He was really
I definitely feel like this is the future of basketball. It's a new era for real, because nobody else ever experienced a tournament like this. Nah, it's business for sure. Nothing more, nothing less. It's business. When Saturday come and that final buzzer go off and we the victorious team, then all right, we can enjoy it. But for now, we locked in.
It was business. It felt like a business trip.
Yes.
Did you feel that energy around
Absolutely.
the team?
So when I first got there, I was thinking walking around, going to my hotel room. Obviously, you have to go through the kind of the casino area, all the restaurants, all the shops within MGM Grand. You fly in, you see the Sphere, and you're like, is this distracting for people in their young 20s? I'm not saying they're going out and going crazy, but, you know, just naturally, it doesn't feel like a business trip. You know, you're going to Vegas, right? But for the players, it was. And these guys are very mature about it, and that's part of what can be special about bringing in transfers and players that are older, is they have gone through road trips in their career where maybe things didn't go perfectly. And this team treated it like business, and I think that the kind of the marketing slogan, the mantra of that Players Era tournament was every game matters. And Oregon took that to heart. Every team took it to heart. The teams there all played super hard. The effort level was fantastic. Part of that might have been the money at stake, but the effort level was phenomenal, really fun to watch. And the Ducks came to win, and they were very professional, I think would be the approach, I would say, for the Ducks players. And even after the first 2 wins, Texas A&M and San Diego State, they could have relaxed, been like, oh, that was fun. What a great tournament, right? Now there's a couple days off until the game Saturday. But they didn't relax. They were locked in, and they ramped it up to another level Saturday. So that's a testament to the Oregon coaches to have that team ready to play, and the Ducks players to be professional, to be mature, and play with desperation and urgency in November. That's really a testament to this Ducks team, and huge wins. I don't think you can undersell how big these wins are. They have more to do. It's still early, but those are big wins.
It feels like when Oregon goes to Vegas, it's almost like some horse blinders go on. None of the outside distractions matter. None of that comes into play. No, it's about the task at hand. And like you're talking about, these are big wins that Oregon got against big-time teams. A Texas A&M that was ranked. A San Diego State team that went to the national championship 2 years ago is continuously in the tournament making deep runs. And, of course, Alabama, which has two of the best players, I think, in college football from a consensus, or college basketball, from a consensus standpoint this early in the season. These are big-time opportunities for Oregon, and they went and got it done. Really happy that you were able to be there. Really happy that you were able to bring us that moment, because your call on the final call was absolutely electric. It was really fun.
That's nice.
The energy in the booth at Autzen Stadium was absolutely electric. It was right after all the fans had cleared out. It was just the broadcast team there. There might have been some hooting and hollering.
I love it. That for good reason. I mean, it got dicey. They turned the ball over. They allowed an open three. Alabama tied it, so I think there was probably some anxiety there, but they pulled it out. That's all that matters. It created that iconic moment, the Nate Biddle dunk, some Oregon mistakes. So Oregon has stuff to learn from with some of the mistake they made down the stretch, and they still won, and that's best case scenario. You make some mistakes, you review the game film, you get better, but you win, and that's the key. And they're 8-0.
Absolutely. And let's transition over to the women now.
Yeah.
You were in Hawaii. It didn't go the way you wanted to from a results standpoint, but just the trip as a whole in Hawaii. It feels like a week ago now, because it was a week ago, but getting the opportunity to play in a venue like that, to play in a tournament like that, and have a trip like that for the team, you were a part of it. What was the overall experience?
Well, it's Hawaii, so the experience was no matter what the results on the floor are, they're great. But the Ducks came away from that not happy. I mean, the momentum they built through the first 6 games, fantastic, starting 6-0. They get in the national rankings. Now it's important to note the 2 teams they lost to, Georgia Tech and South Dakota State, those are both NCAA tournament teams. And to me, they are both teams that are nationally ranked caliber. They're not ranked, but I think they should be. Georgia Tech's going to make a lot of noise in the ACC. South Dakota State's one of the best mid-majors in the country, even though mid-major sounds like you're kind of slandering them. That's a fantastic team, no matter what the conference they're in. But the first game they didn't rebound well enough. Georgia Tech had a lot of offensive rebounds. The Ducks had the intensity. I think I was going into that game Monday thinking, they've been hanging out on the beaches of Hawaii throughout the weekend, as they should. If you're going to be in Hawaii, you might as well enjoy it, is basically what Kelly Graves was saying. But they had the effort. The intensity was there. They just didn't quite have the fundamentals of boxing out, and that aspect of the game was kind of missing for Oregon. And so that was really the difference. And then South Dakota State was just a great basketball game. That came down to the final few minutes. Ducks had a chance. Came down to outside shooting. And the problem with outside shooting is that sometimes it can be like a virus, right? It's like catching a cold. You have a few players missing shots, and suddenly nobody can get shots to fall, and then you get yourself in the third quarter, and you're thinking, man, we can't hit a shot, and then you just are never able to break out of it. This Ducks team can shoot. They proved it throughout the season. They just didn't have a great shooting experience in Hawaii. So maybe it was the baskets there at the campus of BYU Hawaii. I don't know. But this team, when they're making threes, that's when they're special. When Philly Che gets healthy inside, and they're hitting threes, that's when this team is going to really be able to unlock something. So I think if they could start to make their outside shots, they're going to be able to turn a corner, because this team is versatile. They're deep. They've got all the ingredients. They've got the fire and the intensity necessary. You got to be able to hit shots. Basketball's simple sometimes, and so they're hoping this week against Washington State, who's a really good team, obviously. They're 4-4, the Cougs are, but that's a deceiving record. They've had a fantastic schedule. That's going to be a challenge, but on paper, Oregon the favorite there. The game that'll really be interesting will be Saturday. USC's coming in, top 10 in the nation. I'm not looking over that Washington State game. That's going to be a great game as well, but that's one that can really be a test for the Ducks to see where they're at. A national championship contender, Juju Watkins and the Trojans coming in. So this is a big week for Oregon. There's no doubt about it. They're coming up to conference play. It's just a couple weeks away. They're going to want to fix that outside shooting slump they have and get some good results, because the Big Ten is so tough this year. you don't want to stockpile these losses. You're going to back yourself into a corner. So it's a big week for the Ducks.
Refocusing. It will be game day tomorrow. We'll preview that more on the show. What you missed, Oregon football. When you finish the season 12-0, it means that you get a lot of conference honorees. I'm going to roll through all of them. Clayton, try to keep up with me. It's going to be a lot of names. The Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, Dillon Gabriel. Big Ten Quarterback of the Year, Dillon Gabriel. Big Ten First Team in the Coaches Poll, Josh Connolly, Dillon Gabriel. In the media side of things, Luke Basso as a long snapper got on the first team. Josh Connolly, first team there, so was Dillon Gabriel. Mateo Uyunglele, outside linebacker, first team for the media. Second team for the coaches. Coaches slotted Luke Basso in as an all-Big Ten second teamer. Bryce Betcher got on the Big Ten second team in the coaches side of things. Jordan James, second team Big Ten. Tez Johnson, second team at 2 positions, wide receiver and return specialist. Mateo Uyunglele got second team on the coaches. For the media side of things, Bryce Betcher, he was second team for both. Johnny Cornelius, second team on the media side. Derek Harmon, second team media Big Ten. Jordan James, second team media Big Ten. Tez Johnson at wide receiver, second team media Big Ten. Jabbar Muhammad, defensive back, second team media Big Ten. All Big Ten third team on the coaches side. Jordan Birch, even though he missed a few games, still there. Johnny Cornelius, third team on the coaches side. Derek Harmon, defensive lineman, third team coaches side. Marcus Harper, even though he missed a few games, offensive lineman, third team coaches side. On the media side of things, Jordan Birch, he's a 2-time third team all Big Ten. Terrence Ferguson got on the media side of things, third team. And then in the honorable mention on the coaches side, Jeff Bassa, honorable mention. Jamari Caldwell, honorable mention. Trayshawn Holden, Taishim Johnson, Ipani Laulu, Jabbar Muhammad, Nico Reed, Atticus Sappington, Evan Stewart, and Tatum Tuioti. On the media side, Bassa again, Caldwell again, Harper again, Ross James as a punter, Brandon Johnson as a DB, Tez Johnson as a return specialist, honorable mention on the media side, Taishim Johnson, the defensive back, Ipani Laulu as an offensive lineman, Nico Reed as a DB, and Tatum Tuioti as an outside linebacker, not to mention Tosh Lupoi, a Broyles Award semi-finalist.
So basically, he's basically just listed off the 2D.
That was the roster.
So that was it.
The whole roster.
Yes, and might I say, you challenged Clayton to keep up. I thought he nailed it. He kept up perfectly.
Killed it.
Great job. He passed the test that time because if you're watching, the graphics were right on time with your sequencing there. So that was a thing of beauty.
I liked it. And what's going to happen is that was the entire roster. More additions will be made to the roster because early signing day is tomorrow. Here to talk about it all, Chief Compliance Officer Jody Sykes in the Duck Insider Country Financial Studio. She's coming on next right after this quick timeout, talking all things compliance. Nothing's going on this time of year. We're coming back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin. I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back here in the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano, Jody Sykes here, Senior Associate AD, Chief Compliance Officer, and, well, your job's just been really easy lately, huh?
Oh, it's always easy in compliance, don't you know?
It's been a time in the athletic department, and I'm sure that with crossover season, things get just really incredibly busy for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's that way for everybody, right? Events staff, you've got different folks that have to cover the games. It's a great problem to have, right? That we have all these sports that are doing different things at different times. We've got all the different folks going different directions, and not to mention it's dead week, and finals week is next week, so our students are trying to focus on their academics. We've got postseason happening, plus we've got the non-conference schedule for the basketballs. It's a great time of year, but it's also a really hectic time of year. It happens with the fall-winter crossover, and then it happens again with the winter-spring crossover. So when you have your spring sports starting up and your winter sports finishing, but it's fun. It's part of the reason that a lot of us, are part of college athletics is we have a lot going on and we want to be around all of that. So compliance-wise, there's a lot going on with all that too, making sure that the teams are certified for postseason competition, making sure that these mid-year enrollees that we're going to have, and I think we're going to talk about signing day here in a minute, but the mid-year enrollees that are coming in January, that they're squared away and admitted and ready to go and have housing and all those kinds of things. And then you've got the students who unfortunately want to leave and want to go into the transfer portal or maybe are in the transfer portal from another school and looking to come this direction. So there's this constant, evolution, especially once December 1st hits, that transfer portal window opens for the spring sports. So if you're, lacrosse, baseball, softball, etc., and you're, for some reason, you're unhappy that December 1st was the day you could initially get in. Women's soccer transfer portal's been open for a while. Cross country portal opened a week or so ago. The football portal opens December 9th. So there's this constant evolution of just people, both incoming and outgoing. So that certainly keeps us busy. Then once grades post, there's this whole academic piece to being a student athlete, right? So you got the grades posting in the middle of December, and our office has to, get those and make sure that our students are continuing to meet those NCAA requirements to even step back out on the field when we get back in January, or continue on the court in the case of the two basketballs. So it's very busy.
Incredibly. And we talk about broad-based excellence a lot around here, but with that comes postseason opportunities. Volleyball's hosting, football's in the postseason, so many more examples to go on and on about. But how does that change the compliance side of things? Because the season gets longer when you qualify to play in the postseason. It's what the word means, postseason.
Absolutely. To be fair, the compliance piece, once they're initially certified, unless it crosses over into a new term, they're pretty much good to go for that entire postseason run. If it crosses over into a new term, it gets a little interesting. So right now we're still waiting on some guidance from the NCAA about the CFP semifinals and nationals and how that happens, because those two competitions happen after the winter term has started for us and for other schools too, depending on who's in. And so there's some questions happening on all of that. And then of course the basketballs cross over from fall to winter, so they might be eligible right now, and hopefully they're doing what they need to do to be eligible for winter as well. A lot of it, though, especially with the hosting of postseason, is on the academic staff, and kudos to them for really coordinating everything that's going on. So, for example, we're hosting this week with volleyball. The student athletes are able to, go to class hopefully today and tomorrow, and we'll see about Thursday morning, depending on, game time and how that needs to play out, and maybe even Friday, right? So that's one of the advantages of hosting, is that maybe they can still fulfill their obligations and balance it all. But then next week, when we advance, we're going to be on the road. And, I think we play Thursday in Pittsburgh, right? So they're going to want to leave on Monday. So you're talking about leaving on the Monday of finals week of the fall term. And so the academic staff has a lot of pressure to, who has a final? Do we need to coordinate some sort of proctoring? What kind of communication happens between the student athlete and their professor? And some of that's on the fly, because you hope that everybody's going to advance, excuse me, but you can't guarantee that until you actually get the win on the board. So there's some preemptive coordination that happens on all sports, but then there's okay, we actually won. We need to actually make this happen, and let's coordinate this and keep going. So academic staff gets a lot of kudos this time of year too, because they have a lot to work for.
Well, I want to ask you about those preemptive plans. You just mentioned it with volleyball, football, same example. There's the potential and the hope that you are going to play into that next term or that next period. How much of your pre-planning do you do, and then how much of that actually executes? And then sometimes do you have to just throw away some plans because it didn't end up happening?
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see this not only for compliance, but also for the event meetings that we've been having and other things, facilities, all of the different areas, even communications and academic planning and all that stuff. Every area, you have to have contingency plans, because especially if you're talking about football, we've got 126, I think, players on the team right now. We can't turn that around overnight, right? So we have to have some contingency plans in place. And if we have to scrap those because we're winning and we're getting a bye week and we don't need them, great. That's a good problem to have. Same thing with events, right? If we're not hosting, but if we are hosting, we need to be prepared for that. And you can't host 55,000 people in Autzen Stadium without pre-planning, right? Without getting security and getting all of the different pieces and parts that go on behind the scenes of all of these events. Compliance plays a very small role in that we pitch in and do different things. And there's some planning and things that we do to try to proactively deal with NCAA rules and, again, mid-year enrollees, or maybe some mid-year enrollees that are going to join us for these practices once we get past the fall term rather. So there's a lot of different units and different pieces and different players, but you have to plan. And then if you throw it out, or if you have to change it up, or whatever that looks like, that's fine. But you have to plan. You can't be waiting until actually the thing happens and then going forward, right? There's too many people, too many students, too many coaches, too many everybody, not just football, even volleyball. We're making plans 2 weeks ago. Okay, if this, then that, or if this, then that, because you just can't flip a coin and have it be done.
You talk about all the planning that needs to be done. Do you treat days like a signing day, like an early signing day like football has coming up tomorrow, as almost a benchmark for you, where this is a day we need to be prepared for? We need to have all of our ducks in a row, for lack of a better term, by early signing day for football. Or signing days were a few weeks back for a lot of different other sports. Are those benchmark days for you to plan, and things need to be ready by the time signing day comes around?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the benchmarks are more for the sports themselves, but our office helps execute the paperwork, essentially, that they need for those benchmarks, right? Mm-hmm. So, for example, when the November signing day rolled around and every sport except football had folks that they wanted to sign, they have to get that stuff into us so that we can execute the paperwork that they give to the student to sign. The other interesting development this year that, I don't know, may interest the fans, was that the National Letter of Intent program went away, right? So it used to be that signing day was all about the National Letter of Intent, and then it was accompanied by a financial aid agreement. So usually you had two documents, the National Letter of Intent and then the financial aid agreement. Well, the National Letter of Intent program went away. So the Big Ten took all of the language that was in the National Letter of Intent that was applicable and incorporated it into the Big Ten scholarship agreement. So now what we're sending to these students that not only signed in November in the other sports, but that will sign tomorrow in football, is the Big Ten scholarship agreement. It's a simpler document. It's only got 2 signatures instead of a bunch of different things floating around. It's a much more straightforward process. And it's still National Signing Day. It's still a very significant momentum for all of our sports, whether that was in November or that's tomorrow for football. But it's now just this one Big Ten scholarship agreement that the students and their parents have to sign to have that written commitment to Oregon. So yeah, they are benchmark days. They're very significant, almost signifying the closure of one and moving on to the next. Because for the most part, these are the 25s, right, that are signing. Few mid-year signees, maybe, especially in football. But for the most part, these are the folks that are still seniors in high school or looking to come here next fall. But it's kind of that continuous, year-long cycle of, okay, we've hit the signing day, and maybe if we're a fall sport, our season is over, or we're into it, whatever it might be, the planning and coordination. But those are significant days: the start of your season, the end of your season, the signing days, graduation for student athletes who are earning their bachelor's degree or master's degrees. Like, those are all those momentous, benchmarking, significant places that mean something to our student athletes, mean something to our coaches, and compliance is behind the scenes, just working through those dates and making sure we hopefully execute those opportunities and those dates for the coaches as best we can.
It's very unique and it's very nuanced, and I'm glad we got to touch on this. I have so much more to ask you about. Can you stick around for another segment?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna take a time out, but there's a lot more to unpack here, including volleyball postseason and so much more going on with Jody Sykes. We'll return after a quick timeout coming up on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live for the better of myself, my family. My weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember. Back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son?
Back here in the Country Financial Studio, Ryan Milano, Jody Sykes here, talking compliance, Senior Associate Athletic Director, Chief Compliance Officer, and I'm really curious about these two signing days that happen. Football happening tomorrow on December 4th. A lot of other sports happening in the middle of November. They're at different times, but are they different in really any facet other than the fact that they're just different sports?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is just the quantity, right? You've got 20 sports here at Oregon, and we'll probably come close to signing the same total number of students in the November period that we sign in the December period for one sport, right? You just look at the numbers. You've got 3 times as many football student athletes as you do but that's why we have 20 sports to balance it all out. So the biggest difference for us is just the quantity. But it's nice that it's separated because you've got one quantity that happens in November and then you've got another quantity that happens in December. And so it kind of spreads it all out. But the great thing is, and this was the same case with the National Letter of Intent, it's still the same form. It's the same form for everybody. The terms and agreements, the listings of the rules and the regulations and everything that goes into that scholarship agreement are the same for a football student athlete as they are for a golfer or a volleyball student athlete. It's the same document. You just have to put in the right numbers and the right names and spit it back out.
Well, when you talk about the quantity difference for football, which has such a big roster, you have all of these sports at one time, and you're able to rinse and repeat. You do anything multiple times. It makes it an easier process. And the quantity, I find that so fascinating because football in and of itself is such a big roster. You have this opportunity with these other sports to get prepared almost for what is going to be a big roster signing day like we're going to see tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that that we need to be prepared because we want to treat all of our sports, not to contradict you, but we want to treat all of our sports the
Please
same.
do.
I mean, we want the golfer to have the same experience that football signee is having, right?
Absolutely.
We want to make sure that the golf parent understands the document that they're signing, just like the football student athlete and their parent understands the document that they're signing. So certainly, yeah, if there's a glitch, that November period certainly gives us a chance to work out that glitch. But the good thing is everything's electronic these days. It goes through DocuSign or some other system, comes back to us via email or via. So it's really quick these days. It's no longer mailed out in a envelope and no longer having to sit and wait for the fax machine to make noise. For those of you that are old enough to remember what a fax machine is, but so that there's an experience to that for the student athletes. So you see the pictures that they post, the prospective student athletes. You see the pictures that they post with the table laid out and the announcements that they make and the high school recognition ceremonies and all those kinds of things. Those are special moments. Those are memory-making moments for those prospective student athletes. And for them to commit to be a Duck and to commit to come to Oregon, that means something. And that means something certainly for our football student athletes tomorrow, especially obviously given the success that we're having. But it means something for all of our classes, for all of our sports, because there's a culture here that they want to come here and be a part of.
Let's check in on some of the other sports that you're closely associated with. Beach volleyball, women's golf, in a little bit of the off-season now. What's going on with those?
Yeah, those two sports are both in their off-season. They finished their fall segments. Women's golf had 4 tournaments and had a solid fall. Looking forward to the spring for them. Got some good signees in that November signing period, and then looking forward to that 2026 class. Beach volleyball actually has the largest roster that they've had since we added a beach volleyball back in 2013-14. So they had a great fall of practice with a large roster, a lot of rotation, changing up the partners and the pairs to see what that's going to look like. They are super excited to get back in January as well. This is some off time, some downtime for them. There's several of them that are going to Southern California to do some continued beach training on their own in the warmer, sunnier climate of Southern California. But they're all looking really forward to being back here in January and competing. They also had a few signees in the November signing period, so continuing to grow those scholarship student athletes on the beach volleyball side as well. Coach Dillard and Coach Lucy are making some headways there for us, and on the women's golf side, Coach Radley and Coach Chrissy are just they're just crushing it on the recruiting and on the player side. So really excited to be working with those two programs. Really excited to see what their spring brings because they're both spring sports, so very busy, but we're super excited for those programs and their continued growth.
Well, I don't want to keep you any longer because there's so much going on, better things for you to be doing.
All good.
But is there anything that we missed?
No, I mean, we could talk for days. The same thing happens when I'm in here with Joey. We could just sit here and start talking about whatever, and we'll just talk for days and days and days. But, I think just continue to encourage the fans to support our student athletes, continue to come out to events, especially postseason for volleyball this week. I know you all are going to talk continuously about that. But just support our student athletes, be here, encourage them, and continue to support the Ducks in all aspects. Men's and women's basketball will need your support, especially during the holidays when the students are maybe not around in full swing, and let us know if the fans have a specific compliance question. I'm happy to try to answer those, even if it's not on air. We just want to make it a good experience for everybody. Appreciate the show, appreciate the coverage, appreciate y'all having me. It's a fun place to be, a fun time to be a Duck.
Jody Sykes, thanks for joining us. Speaking of postseason volleyball, the coach is here. Matt Ulmer is in the Country Financial studio. We're getting him when we come back on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Jan from Toyota here, live with some big news. Toyotathon is on. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 6th. Participating dealers only. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Jan from Toyota here, live with some big news. Toyotathon is on. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 6th. Participating dealers only. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You say you never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now. Don't forget to say you will.
Don't forget to say. That's Matt Ulmer here in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano joining me, Oregon volleyball head coach. I don't.
No, we should come up with our own.
Yeah.
And it would, just like everything else, be so much better than normal.
Yeah, I do not want to step on Joey's turf because I'm not sure the quality of that turf.
This is not his turf. This is not.
I'm taking over. Yeah. Postseason,
we allow him to be here, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I said, okay, he was here a little bit earlier. I said, time for you to go to the airport. I got to talk to Coach Ulmer.
Time for the grown-ups to work. That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Speaking of work, you guys have no fun because you last year, you went out before the last home match of the year and you decided, I'm going to show off the pipes. I'm going to sing the national anthem. Mm-hmm. It spread to the rest of your team, and I think that this is so cool. Is this going to be a tradition now? Because Michelle Owabete sung the national anthem against Purdue.
She's so good. Yeah, no, and this is like what she wants to do for her beyond volleyball career is sing, and she's really excellent. So, no, she said she wanted to, and we were going to save it for the end, and I think she nailed it.
It sounded great. I'm waiting for the harmony.
Yeah. I asked her if she wanted me there, and she said she's more of a solo. That's fine. It
was better that way.
She didn't want me to outshine her. No. We sing in the van together, among others. Yeah. So we'll
have
we
those
sing
been
together.
Part of the
There's probably some recordings
logs,
of that.
The V blogs.
Probably, yeah, but they just go no audio on that.
I know.
I
need to hear.
You should tell Luke. See if Luke has any of that film, but. No, it's good.
We'll find it.
Oni too. Like there's a bunch that sing.
I'm sure that there are much more musically talented people on your roster than on our Oregon Sports Network roster for sure.
Oh, well, I don't know that. You guys, okay, maybe then. Yeah, maybe.
Joey and I are included. Yeah. We bring down the average a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
But nice voices you guys have. Nice speaking voices.
We chose speaking for
a reason. Okay, that's
for
fair.
a reason.
That's all right.
We've got a lot to cover because it's been 2 weeks since you've been here, and so I just kind of want to go chronologically and start with that Purdue match at Matthew Knight Arena.
Yep.
Obviously a battle.
Yeah.
Deuce set losses in the last 3 sets of a 5-set match. I mean, it doesn't get closer than that. Just what did you think of your team in that final match at MKA?
Yeah, SC and Purdue, both of them, we outscored our opponent. We basically out-statisticed them in everything and lost the match, and so that's brutal. But I really like the way we played against Purdue. I mean, they're a very good team, and I thought we hit for a good number. I thought we held them pretty good defensively. I just thought we didn't serve aggressive enough, in my opinion. I thought our misses were tentative misses, and I just didn't think we provided enough pressure on them. And something that we've talked about all year is just when it comes down to it, is just having that killer instinct and consistently being competitive. And I thought we did that probably the best we have. And that's really important moving forward, that we have more of that mentality. But I thought it was just a really great match between 2 really good teams. And, they made 2 more point plays 3 times, and that was the difference. But I was proud of our group for how we played, and hopefully the fans enjoyed the match.
Both of those teams hosting postseason, by the way. Your team hosting postseason. We'll touch on that in a second. But it was a little bit of a weird week for you because you play on a Wednesday. You travel on Thanksgiving. Did you travel on Thanksgiving? You play again on Friday? What did the holiday look like for you? And
we ate lunch at the Eugene Airport, and then we ate dinner at our hotel lobby. in LA. So
turkey sandwich.
What more could you ask for? You know?
Did you get a
I
turkey
think I had
sandwich?
pasta. I think, but I know I don't even think that was an option. I know nothing was open, but no, that was different. But we celebrated on Sunday with the selection show, and everybody came over to my house. We had 50 people at our house for a potluck. Everybody made a little something, and that was really enjoyable.
So take me into that, because you get the job done. You win the final regular season match of the season. You put yourself in position where you're possibly going to host. You are going to host. Just the overall energy of the team. Did the team think that you were going to lock up a host spot, one of the top 4 seeds?
I think, whoever won that Purdue match for sure felt very confident. And then since we didn't, it was like, okay, well, you definitely – but I think for us it's been about just getting better. But I think probably in your mind you're thinking, okay, like – looking at the landscape, this is a must-win. But I don't think that – I'm not sure that the team ever thought that. But just me knowing what I know, that was probably important. And I thought it was really tough. Again, you come off that Purdue loss, which is disappointing. And again, you gave everything you had, and you don't come out with the win. And then on Thanksgiving, you're on the road. You're not with your people, which is the first time that we've had that. And then to go out and play at UCLA on their senior night, where I thought they came out well, and I just thought we just weren't really ready to go out of the gates emotionally, and so I thought we responded well to that. So I was proud of us for how we responded, and that we came away with that win, and everybody felt good about that. And then and then Sunday was really a joy, and I think it's that reset, and just to hear your name called, and then to see that you were hosting. I think it was a goal for the team. One of their big team goals was to be able to host playoff matches. It's something that they accomplished. And again, we're a very new group compared to last year. And so for a lot of them, this is a first for them. And I think they took a lot of pride in that, and they're very excited for this week.
You talked about just the overall team and family of it. If you fans haven't watched the player NCAA tournament media availability from yesterday, there were tears shed in the first 2 minutes. I was not emotionally prepared for what I was stepping into, but it was really touching stuff. Daly McClellan, I thought, was a really big part of that. Getting her back, getting her healthy, the journey for her to get back onto the court. What was it like?
Yeah, I mean, Daly, is as tough as they come, and she blew out her meniscus, and it took a few weeks to get back, and she was trying to get back as quickly as possible. She wasn't able to be back for senior night, which was a bummer for her. But we thought that maybe Purdue would be the right match that she could come back by. I think it's really tough because, again, you're playing a really good team, in her first match back, and she's trying to figure out how much she trusts her leg and, where she's feeling. She only had a few practices, but I thought she worked through it. I thought, in the third set they picked on her a little bit, and, and I think that was frustrating for her, but she responded back again in the fourth and fifth set, and I think that was huge. And then, played well against UCLA, and that's a big piece. That's one of our captains. That's a leader for us and someone that's really important to the success of our team. And so just to have her back on the floor, I think was a really good lift for the team. But I think she's starting to feel much more comfortable, more like herself. And again, that's really important for us moving forward.
I want to talk about you as a coach of this team, and going back to that media availability. Oni Ofebo, she tears up saying how proud she is to be a part of this group. That's got to be really special as a coach to hear that, to see that, and then it felt like it resonated with everybody else in the room, part of your team, and also the media as well. That's got to be really cool as a coach to see how tight-knit of a group you've created here.
Yeah, and I think like with Oni, when she transferred, she could have gone anywhere she wanted, right? And this is an All-American. This is someone that I think any coach would want to work with, and she decided to come here, redshirt a year, which that's crazy in the transfer portal era, right? I mean, I know we have a few examples, but it's really tough to get a player that at that level to sit back for a year, which was exactly what was best for our program and what was best for her, but she had to buy into that. And I think her leadership has really grown. She's become a much more consistent player. I think she feels much more prepared for what's next for her with her professional career. But it's just been really neat to see her growth, and she's a great teammate. Her teammates love her. And that group that was under our captains with Colby and Oni and Daly, they're amazing humans. They really are. I mean, I've just really enjoyed working with them, and I think the growth for our team this season has been immense. I still feel like we have a lot of room to grow. It's just how much time do we have to get there. Today was good practice. Hopefully we can have one more tomorrow, and then we'll just keep learning as we go. But they really are a wonderful team. And so again, just talking about the culture of Oregon volleyball, it's just been really neat to see all the different faces that come through the program and how it makes their lives a little bit better, and they definitely bring that to us.
Talking about growth, and postseason's all about peaking at the right time. Well, Mimi Collier's a great example of that. She's had 20-plus kills. You fed her a lot, 60-plus attacks in each of the last two matches. Take her as sort of an example for the rest of the group in terms of the growth at the end of the season, headed into postseason play?
Yeah, I think we're feeling our best physically, mentally, emotionally. I think everybody's really locked in. I think they understand what they have to do. Mimi is a huge part of our offense and defense. I mean, we keep matching Mimi up with their best attacker blocker. And she's been winning those battles game in, game out against some of the best opposites that we've seen in the country. That will be All-Americans. And that's been massive for our success. And she's going to have to do the same thing moving forward. But I think she's really prepared for it. Chris really looks to find her in the front row, back row. We set her everywhere. And she's had some really big matches for us, and we're going to need her moving forward.
High Point coming up on Thursday. You've been in the postseason a lot. What does it take to win once you get to the postseason?
I think it's toughness, right? I mean, it's a belief for sure in yourself, like the process, the practices that we've had, the games that we've had, all the experiences that we've had, whether it's, losing to Purdue close or then coming back and responding with Thanksgiving and UCLA, like all those things are they just build you up, right? They just, it's just one more thing that you can rely on in your experience and your tool belt. And I feel like we've had a lot of really positive and negative experiences, but that have helped us grow. And so can you use all that, to be tough and understand that whatever situation you get in the playoffs, like you're ready for it, and that they know what they're trying to do and they're going to give everything that they have. And I really think this group has a huge ceiling, and it's something that they can control, and I think we're going to be a tough matchup for anyone. So I'm just really excited to see how we respond. I'm really happy that we're home for the first 2 rounds to do that, and I'm excited that our fans are going to be there, and we're going to make Matthew Knight Arena a great place to be this week.
Scouting report on the opponent. High Point, first team to play.
Yeah, I feel like every year it's really difficult. That first round, you're playing a team that's really used to winning. And I think High Point is very much used to winning. They play hard defense. They control the ball well. They have a few really nice attackers. Their setter does a great job. I think they're just a really solid team. And there's definitely some things there that we're going to have to really be sharp on our game plan, or else they're gonna pick us apart. So looking forward to that match. And again, I think they're just really well coached, and it's going to be a fun first round match.
High Point, 6:30 on Thursday. It's the second match of the day. So if you want to watch Hawaii TCU, it'll be at 4 o'clock. How can fans best support? What do you want to see from the Matthew Knight Arena faithful?
Well, I recommend coming to that 4 o'clock match. I think that Hawaii TCU match could be a real fun one. You have two of the best outsides in the country going against each other. So just if you're a volleyball fan, I recommend going to it. But just showing up and being loud. Again, we want to make it a real fun environment. I want it to be a party. I want everyone to celebrate that we're hosting NCAA tournament. How many NCAA tournament games do we get to host in Eugene? They're few and far between. And so I think, we want to celebrate that and just cheer for the Ducks. Again, we have a great group of seniors, but this is a team that has big goals, and I think the fans can help us reach them.
You're starting to make it consistent 3 years in a row. Don't take it for granted, fans.
Please don't. It's hard.
It's hard.
It is really hard. And I think for this group, again, we graduated 7 pros. To be able to come back and host the first 2 games, I think really says a lot about this group and in the work that they've put in.
You talk about selection show, the potluck. Who's the chef at the potluck? Who's bringing the best meal to the party?
I really am impressed by everybody.
Really?
Yeah, but my wife, she came through with the turkey, with the ham, mashed potatoes, creamed corn. She did quite a bit.
The works.
She really, I think she was the meat and potatoes of it. That's what she was. But she did a great job. But I think everybody brought a little something different. There was a lot of nice desserts and some good appetizers there.
Did you have to set a limit on the desserts?
No. What I want is whatever they have like at home. Like, what's that thing that your family makes?
Of course.
I wanted them to bring that in so everybody could just have a little bit of taste of what everybody did. So
What's yours?
we had Evelina and Robbie. They were making desserts. And I think everybody really, really liked that. What's mine?
Yeah, your Thanksgiving staple. What you got to have?
All those things I said that my wife made. That's why she made them. So we made sure we had them. And then I like the green bean casserole, and then as much gravy as you could put on top.
Ooh.
And I just put it all together. As a kid, I didn't want anything to touch. Now it's like I mix it all in.
Oh, that's the best part.
Yeah.
I just pour the gravy right into my mouth.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, but other people might want the gravy. We had 50 people in the house.
I have an individual boat for myself.
Oh, just your own boat. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's good. Yeah.
Well,
How's your stomach?
Ask me tomorrow.
Okay.
Anything else before we get you out of here?
Go Ducks. Great weekend. See you soon.
Excited for it. Postseason play, 6:30 Thursday, round 1 against High Point. If you win, you'll win. 6 o'clock the next day on Friday at Matthew Knight Arena. Going to be fun. Fans are going to come out. It's going to be great.
Going to be great.
Going to be great.
Go Ducks.
Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for sticking with me.
This is the best interview I've had in, when was the last time we did this? A year ago, probably.
Probably.
This is the best interview I've had in a year. Thank you.
All right, we're back after this, closing out the show on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network.
Go Ducks.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First, drown it with a bucket of water. With a shovel.
Wow. You sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Back here in the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider, and we're closing out the show. It was a packed show. Thanks to Chris Clayton, thanks to Jody Sykes, thanks to Matt Ulmer. I hope to see everybody at Matthew Knight Arena, really the entire week, because you got women's basketball on Wednesday, you got volleyball on Thursday and Friday. They're going to win that first match. And then on Saturday, you got men's basketball right before the Big Ten championship for football. So really, it's just get a mattress, put it in Matthew Knight Arena, and then sleep there. Don't leave. That's what I am going to do. I'm not sure I'll leave Matthew Knight. I got to come here. I got to come here to host the show because we got tons on the show. Football player interviews, post-practice interviews from today and tomorrow will be on the show. Coach Lanning previewing the Big Ten championship. There's so much that's going on. You're not going to want to miss the entire week at Duck Insider. You're not going to want to miss the next week of events at MKA. It's a great day. Go Ducks!
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for